Thank you. Evening, everyone. Welcome to our September 10th, 2025 Planning Board meeting. Would you please rise and join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, Jackie, you might as well wear it, huh? You look.
One more time.
Madam Secretary?
Chairman John Curry.
Here.
Paul Gannon.
Here.
Jack Mattis.
Here.
Bruce Prince. Anthony Sutton.
Here.
Christopher Zaberto.
Here.
Thank you. First on our agenda are the minutes from August 13th, 2025. Any board comments, corrections, additions?
None.
None. I make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
As always, great job. Thank you very much. First on our agenda is a time extension. It's a request from Melissa Harney of 10 Cairo Land for the second 90-day time extension from October 6, 2025 up to and including January 3rd, 2026 for preliminary subdivision and stormwater management and erosion sediment control permits as per resolution 2025-01 in accordance with the town code section 150-12.n. Is there anyone from the applicant who would like to speak?
Tim Allen, Bibbo Associates, Melissa's here. We're before the health department. We have an application before them and we are anxiously awaiting any comments and we will hopefully have a plat back to this board as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any board member comments or discussion?
None.
Make a motion that we accept their request for the date, and it's for the October 6th, 2025 up to and including January 3rd, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Second, we have also received some correspondence on this matter. It's the Granite Point regrant of final subdivision approval, steep slopes, tree preservation, stormwater management, and erosion and sediment control permits, town map 27.05-3-2 and 5. It's the 33rd 90-day time extension. It's a regrant of final, like I said, final subdivision approval, wetlands, steep slopes, tree preservation, stormwater management, erosion, and sediment control permits as per resolution 2017-10. And the dates are from October 7th, 2025 up to and including January 4th, 2026. For the record, the property is located on the east side of Route 118-202 adjacent to Amawalk Reservoir, and it's located in an R40 zoning district for the development of 23 lots in a cluster subdivision. Mr. Allen, would you like to say a few words?
And Tim Allen of Bibbo Associates, Engineering. Before I start, John, on behalf of my firm and myself, wish you all the best. And
Thank you.
it's been an honor and a pleasure to be before you all these years, and we're going to miss you.
Thank you.
Um,
I'm surrounded by great people here, as you know,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
great staff.
Great board. You probably, ironically, it was probably your first meeting on the board some years ago was probably Granite Point, and here we are ending up with it. But as documented in my letter, I also have a letter from our attorneys, which I'll submit after I'm done talking. We've still been basically silenced by the DEC. We've called, wrote letters, certified letters, and have no response back from the DEC on what we're going to do with this property. Just trying to gain access for, as I've discussed in previous meetings, trying to get some testing done and wrapping up the approvals. Short of, our only recourse is legal action, which, we're advised not to take from the DEC. So we're waiting, unfortunately. But I do have a letter from our project attorneys, basically just outlining what I just said: calls, letters, emails, and no response. I think they last spoke to them back in March of this year, and then silence since then. So anyway, that's where we're at. As soon as get the go-ahead, we'll be up.
Do you know why the DEC is not granting you access if you are claiming that the site has been cleaned and there has been no access, cleanup work has been completed?
It's our understanding that the 1-year guarantee that the erosion and grass would take on the property, but that's not confirmed. Having said that, that 1 year would have been up probably in August. So, you know, I maybe is back in June. But again, we're anxiously waiting to get back on there. The property's fenced off. We can't get in.
There's DEC fencing.
Yes, and locked.
Is there like a due process at this point? Like anything that the applicant do, they just have to wait?
This is Mike Tui, Abrams Fensterman, counsel for the planning board. I actually spoke, it was Alan Wong, back when this first started coming back up in March. And he confirmed to me that the warranty period was for a year.
Mhm.
That it was expected to expire in June of 2025. I haven't spoken to him since, so I can't state why he's not responding. I can't advise the applicant on what they can take legal actions against the DEC.
Yeah, understood.
Down. You know, whether this is reasonable for the board to extend for an additional 90 days, that's up to the planning board. You have the discretion to make the extension. My opinion, it is, they can't access the property. They're waiting on DEC to give them the final thumbs up that the plantings have taken, so they can proceed. And that is, again, the plantings are to ensure that erosion doesn't occur and then go into the Animal Walk Reserve. So until DEC grants them access, as far as my understanding is, they can't proceed.
Well, it would seem that if they're ready to demonstrate their willingness to get in there as soon as possible, that it's not on them. It's really the fingers pointed to the DEC.
My understanding is DEC installed the fencing for the purposes of remediation. Again, this was lead remediation, so they want to prevent access to the site to prevent that contamination from spreading into people's homes and outside of the site itself. So if they can't access it, they can't access it. I have no other information on that. I haven't had any contact with the DEC myself.
Dave, to the best of your knowledge, has there been any correspondence from the DEC telling us any insight into this?
There's not to my knowledge, there's been nothing from DEC to the town.
Okay. Yeah, I would make a motion to grant a 90-day extension. We don't have all the information from DEC. Everything is in place. They've done what they can do to remediate the issue. So I would make a motion to grant the 90-day time extension.
I would second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Allen.
And if we can get a copy of that information so we can all review it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you've got copies?
Next is a project review for 20 Lakeview Drive, wetland and watercourse protection application, town map 60.09-3-46. The applicant is proposing additions to the existing single-family dwelling, including a one-story, 781 square foot addition at the left side of the dwelling and one-story, 964 square foot addition at the right side of the dwelling. The New York State Department of Environmental Conservation and Zoning Board approval has been obtained. And for the record, the property is located at 20 Lakeview Drive, and it's in an R10 zoning district. Is there anyone here for the, oh, evening. Sure.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Samantha Long.
Please use the mic.
Sorry, Samantha Long, we're at 20 Lake Drive. We proposed everything a couple of weeks ago, sent everything over. We have our wetlands approval. We're just trying to keep everything moving, see what our next steps need to be, see if you guys reviewed it and if there was anything else that needed to do going forward.
Dave and Steve, comments?
Go ahead.
Yep, we have reviewed this this application. This is before the planning board as a single-family residential application only because it is a wetlands permit. Almost the entirety, if not the entirety of this parcel is within the wetland buffer. And so these modifications to the structure increase the disturbance in the wetland buffer. The town code allows for that disturbance if there is mitigation. What the applicant has proposed for mitigation to that disturbance in the wetland buffer is the installation of a rain garden. This is similar to some past applications that this board has seen. We have requested some additional information and backup on that rain garden sizing from the applicant. I had a phone call Tuesday.
Yes.
What day is today?
Exactly.
Recently, I think, yeah, this is the week, with the applicant and their engineer to review the information that we are looking for. I have a good degree of confidence based on that conversation that the engineer understands the additional backup calculations that we are looking for. This is not a large project, not a large amount of disturbance. And we did talk through some options for them around the rain garden and how they might split that up to make sure that they continue to have some beneficial use of their yard as a result of that. But we do need those calculations and that backup information to make sure that it's sized appropriately. What that rain garden does is it slows the flow of water coming off the roof and other impervious areas before it gets into the wetland itself, helping to promote infiltration of that runoff into the ground before getting into that wetland and mitigating the impacts of that additional impervious area in the wetland. So that would be mitigation for the new structure as well as for the roof leaders from the existing structure. Which is something that the board has considered on past projects. So with that, barring any input or discussion from the board, I think that the two things for the board to consider are whether you would like to have a site walk to this property and whether it's appropriate to schedule a public hearing for the October meeting. The applicant's engineer has committed to providing the additional information that we've requested in a timely manner. I've told them that the board should have that and the public should have that 2 weeks prior to the public hearing, so everyone has a chance to review that. If this was a more complex application, then it would be helpful to have that information in advance. But based on my discussion with the applicant's engineer, I have a good degree of confidence that what they're proposing on the plan is the way it's going to look. They just need to give me the numbers to back that up.
So I guess what is the board's feeling? Do you think it requires a site walk? Would you say?
In the applicant's submitted information, there is a report in there that has some photos of the property and including the wetlands and the structure. I think that those are pretty illustrative of the site conditions. I don't think that there's any site conditions or environmental constraints that necessarily warrant a site review, but of course, if it wishes.
Board member comments, questions?
I just have one question. On the plan, there's a square marked garden. Is that like a vegetable garden?
It used to be, yes, ma'am, but it's since no longer there. It's just railroad ties that are still on the ground that I'm removing upon construction.
Okay.
The driveway is going to be the same size?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and it's going to be on the front side of that addition.
Yes, sir. The front view that you're seeing right there on the plans is exactly how it's going to look. That's how it looks right now with the existing dwelling, and then we're just adding on to that driveway.
People can see at home what I put up on the bulletin board.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna put
Good.
up on the bulletin board, so. See.
Plus this is an R10. It's an R10 too, this district, right? R10?
R10 is 5 feet.
Hmm? What?
R10 is 5.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
yeah. Just it's already cut, R10 zoning, no conflict, they brought the buffer zone. Not. Speed. R80. So we haven't did be on.
No.
You did.
No, I have it. Oh.
Perhaps it would be helpful if you can, for the board, kind of point to that plan and the different features, maybe where the stream is, the existing house, the proposed addition, the proposed rain garden. Just walk us through.
So creek here is one line creek, it only pretty much runs during rainy season or if it's heavy rains out, pretty much catches most of the runoff from 118 down to the back of the property there. The existing dwelling is that initial square right in the front. Like we were talking about before, the driveway is going to stay the same. We're not changing, widening, expanding any of that. We're just building the house towards the driveway. And where the proposed side addition is going to be is actually on a stone paver patio now that's going to be coming out, and there's going to be most of it's going to be getting filled in grass or backfill, and a small addition on top of it due to the constraints with the septic system. That's our retaining wall there.
And the rain garden, it proposed in the kind of the kidney shape in the center of the
Yes.
property.
Mhm.
So obviously the rain garden is going to be calculated to take the additional roof surface, yeah,
That's correct.
and existing roof surface, yeah.
That's correct. So there's a few details that the engineer just has to provide us for a review.
Okay. Any other comments or questions?
Well, the question is, do we need a site walk?
That's what I'm looking for some,
I,
Again, like Steve was saying, I do have from the wetlands engineer, I couldn't actually flag the property for DEC to come and do. There is pictures of the entire property in the packet that I submitted. It has that, soil depths, as me and Steve were talking about yesterday, it took groundwater, it's got everything that you should need to see the property without actually walking, if you want to do that. That's, should be in the packets I submitted with everything.
necessary.
Yeah, I'm okay with waiving a sidewalk based on the data that the app
Biggie?
provided.
Okay,
Yes.
Yeah. I make a motion that we waive the site walk site.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I make a motion that we schedule a public hearing for the next meeting based on receiving the additional engineering comments from their engineer and Steve's review,
Yes.
or Wood and Curran's review.
Yep.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Good. See you in October.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wednesday, October 8th.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I'm gonna talk. They just calculate the depth. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, well, usually.
Next on our agenda, it's going to sound like we're repeating ourselves. We got a whole bunch of T-Mobiles coming up here. First one is the T-Mobile Northeast LLC application for a special use permit wireless telecommunications facility at 87 Route 202. It's on the Lincoln Hall campus, town map 16.15-1-1.1. The project consists of replacing and co-locating antennas together with the installation of auxiliary equipment at the existing facility without creating a substantial change. The project is located at 87 Route 202, and it's in an R120 zone.
Good evening. For the record, my name is David Kenny, attorney with Snyder & Snyder and new Somerstown resident. I just moved
Welcome.
to Baldwin
Oh.
Place.
Hope that influential on your decision.
Well, see if I can be more. So the application is actually just a replacement of antennas. So there's 9 antennas currently on the tower. T-Mobile is the middle carrier. There's 2 carriers above us and 2 carriers below us. So the antennas are 9. They'll be replaced with 9 new antennas. All of the equipment is actually being removed and reinstalled because they're actually lowering the center line height of the mounts by 5 feet. They're a little bit too close to the antennas that were just above them. So for RF interference purposes, T-Mobile is actually lowering the height of the antennas just by 5 feet to clear up any interference issues with the carrier that's directly above. So all the equipment's being replaced with new equipment for the new network design, but it's still going to in the same footprint, 5 feet lower, but still the mounts are going to be the same extension, same face from the same distance from the face of the monopole, same number of antennas, same number of equipment. There won't be any substantial change. So we're here tonight to hear from the board if there has any questions regarding the application. I also did hear from staff's review. There was one minor comment that regarding the structural analysis report that we'll get a response to for the next submission. But I'm here tonight to answer any questions you may have regarding the application.
Steve and Dave?
No comments. Mr. Kenny summarized our one comment. There was a a discussion in the structural report saying that an inspection was to be performed on August 28th or thereabouts.
I think that's the Crown Castle one. For this one, I think the only comment was the structural report didn't explicitly say that it was an in-person inspection or a visual inspection for this one. So that one, we'll see if we can have the structural report updated, clarify that there was a visual inspection performed in accordance with the structural analysis report.
Sounds reasonable to me.
I got some questions.
Ms.
So,
Sure.
the site is listed as 87 Route 202, but the site name is New York Whitehall Corners. We're not confusing this with the tower at the Amato Farm.
Let me just double check. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly why Crown Castle's naming it that site name. I'm representing T-Mobile on this application, and all of their site names are based on numbers, but this is absolutely the facility at Lincoln Hall. This is not the Amato Farm facility.
And the other question I have is that the structural analysis that was done, was that done in anticipation these data? Because I noticed that you're talking about widening the supports for the antennas and moving them further away from the center point of the tower?
No, so absolutely we're not doing it. So what I was stating earlier was that they're lowering the mount for the antennas. So they're going 5 feet down vertically. So there's no change horizontal distance. The mounts, they're going to be replaced. They're going to be new mounts, but they should be essentially the same distance from the face of the monopole as the existing mounts. The actual way of working through it is, since Crown Castle owns the tower, so T-Mobile will submit an application saying that it has a request for upgrading its equipment. And then what Crown Castle does as part of reviewing that is it does prepare the structural analysis report in anticipation of this equipment. So that's the first step before we even get to submit an application to this board. Crown Castle, as the tower owner, does do a structural analysis to confirm that the tower structure can support the new equipment. So yes, the structural analysis report was prepared specifically for T-Mobile's application.
Okay, so that was back in December,
Correct.
and now you're here with, and forgive me, I marked it up, but I can't find the language now where it's pretty, it almost looks like boilerplate kind of maximums, like no more than 4 more cabinets, no more than, I forget what the 12 feet or whatever it was.
I think in some of that language is the applicant is citing the federal regulations for substantial changes, they're not specific to the changes that are being proposed.
Correct. So in the cover letter with this application, we do explain for the board, as we do with all of our eligible facilities applications, the federal law. So with this type of application as an eligible facilities request, as soon as it's determined that it is an eligible facilities request and won't create a substantial change, then the town is required by federal law to approve the application. What I think you are referring to is there's 6 objective criteria that determines what is a substantial change. The first one is related to height. So we can't increase the height of the tower by more than 20 feet. Here, we're the middle carrier, so we're not increasing the height of the tower at all. The 2 is you can't protrude from the end of the face of the tower by more than 20 feet. So here, we're not increasing the protrusion or adding an appurtenance that'll extend more than 20 feet from the face of the tower. 3 is where I think you were talking about equipment cabinets. Any one application for an eligible facilities request can only propose up to 4 equipment cabinets. So that's not a total number of cabinets at the site. So if there's 5 existing or proposing 3, that's 8 total. That's still fine because this current application would only propose 3. This particular application is just replacing 2.
And we're talking about, when you're talking about the antennas, we're talking about panels or sticks?
Panel antennas.
So basically same surface area on the replacement panels as the ones you're pulling off?
Essentially the same.
Okay. I'm good with it.
No, good.
Yes.
Should we waive the site walk and the public? It'll be 2 separate motions, but okay with waiving the site walk and the public hearing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make a motion to waive
Huh?
the
We wouldn't know.
second.
No, we won't look what we're looking at anyhow.
Nice, Andy.
That wasn't out loud, was it? Make a motion, we waive the site walk.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I also make a motion that we waive the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, if we direct staff to prepare a resolution with Steve's one comment, yeah. Do you have a second on that?
Draft resolution for chair's signature, what
Yep.
materials available, so we
Yeah.
Not coming back? Yes.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Are you doing all of these?
I am.
Oh, okay.
Right.
This is the local guy now.
Because it's short drives.
Hey, gotta pay for that new house, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Seen the market. I,
Next is Crown Castle, Majestic Towers, application for special use permit for the existing wireless communications facility. This is 247 Route 100. The applicant is applying for a special use permit. The project site, like I said, is 243-247 Route 100, and it's in the OLI, which is Office and Light Industry Zoning District.
Good evening. Again, for the record, my name is David Kenny, attorney with Snyder Snyder. This is an application just to continue its in existence. So these facilities are approved by special permit and they come with them a 5-year term. So this application is just to renew that 5-year term. We did receive some comments from the engineer. We're going to work to get a responsive submission to respond to all of those comments. But I'm here tonight to answer any questions the board may have.
This one is the Amato Farm?
No, this is 243 Route 100. This is, I believe, a tower where it's a flagpole that I believe just has AT&T on it, if I'm not mistaken.
It's on the property across the street
It's on,
from where we were last night.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Just Tech.
it's up at,
Correct, Majestic.
it's up in Majestic,
We did our.
the old Majestic, yeah.
That, the interesting thing about that tower, it was put up before I joined the board. And I remember seeing in some minutes a description of its color as being Enviro green. And then on a site walk for another tower, I saw the Sherwin-Williams paint selection that showed what Enviro green is. And Enviro green was very olivey. This is a very sort of a Kelly green, like a Happy St. Patrick's Day green. And I guess along the lines of maintenance, it actually blends, it works just fine, and no complaints about it. But just as a matter of kind of curiosity, because it was just because we did that unique paint color at the one down at the Somerstown Shopping Center, that's a one-off there. Is there ever a point where the towers are repainted? Is that part of the maintenance and that goes on with them?
I would expect, as with any steel structure, that it periodically does need to be recoated.
Mhm.
That has not been proposed by this applicant, but I think that's a valid question to ask of the applicant to say, is the structural condition of this tower has been evaluated. I don't think that the engineer who performed that evaluation saw any corrosion that indicates any structural issues.
Mhm.
But I think it's within the board's purview to consider the aesthetic issues of the tower and is it being maintained appropriately?
I would just say that if there ever comes a point in time where it needs to be repainted, would they go back to that original approval for the paint swatch and then does it, I never
Does it
thought about this
change?
before.
So-
Does Enviro green even exist anymore on the palette? What would you do?
If I may answer. So first, they absolutely do. That's part of the requirement. So the tower is approved of the stealth design. Part of that stealth design is the color. So they would be required to maintain that color. I don't know for offhand, is there any complaints with the color existing, or is this just a curiosity about ongoing?
I have no
Okay.
complaint with it. It was just a thing that I noticed years ago when we were at the other site and they had the paint swatches out that I saw that what was there did not in any way match what I'd seen on the pole.
So I'm not sure exactly how the color got chosen. Sometimes the colors are chosen at a planning board level and then left up to discretion when it's actually painted for a building inspector or someone to inspect and say this color is better than that. But the way they would go repainting it is they probably wouldn't go back to the original approval. The way that they do it now is the contractor would go up with like a color matcher and they would basically try to take a sample of the paint, or they would try to come up with a few different swatches and closely match a color that matches the existing color.
All right, thank you.
Sounds like you're getting your concern answered, so it's not going to look like these tabs.
They will try to match what is existing, what the community's gotten accustomed to.
Just because I knew there was some ambiguity between what was originally stated and what ended up on the pole.
Yeah.
And I don't have an objection to the pole.
For
it
St. Patrick's
works.
Day.
Works just fine.
Great.
Do you have any major?
I think that there's a question for the board to provide some feedback to the applicant on one of our comments. And this comes up for a couple of the applications. One of the town board or the town code requirements for a special permit renewal here, what comes up every 5 years, is what the code says is a statement of equipment at the site, summarizing the equipment at the site. Mr. Kenny and I had a quick conversation about this. He pointed out that the major radio equipment, the antennas, are listed in the RF report, which is true. My question to the board is in implementing that provision of the town code, is it helpful to the board to have a stated summary of the equipment at the site? There's been a lot of changes to these co-locations, not for this particular site, but in general, or changes to the number of cabinets that are on the ground and elsewhere. Is a kind of text summary statement not something in a report, something that is valuable to you, or is the fact that it is part of the application and embedded in one of the submitted materials in that report sufficient for the board's review? The information is there. Is it accessible to you and capable of understanding it there? We have that comment. I believe our second comment that co-location requests are summarized in the attestation letter that's in there. So that was been provided and probably does not need any further discussion. The structural report, we had a question on this one around the findings of the upcoming inspection. Thank you for the correction earlier, David. And with each of these applications, there is a performance bond for abandonment of the site. This particular one, I think, dates back to 2019. I think we have a question about whether that is in fact still in place. The applicant represents that it is. But the question that we have for the applicant is the amount of the bond sufficient to provide for the removal? And we've asked for them to justify that amount. Yes, it is. No, it's not. We need to increase it, decrease it, whatever it may be. Those were the summary of our comments.
So just regarding the statement of equipment for future applications, I don't mind for T-Mobile applications, giving you a complete list of what T-Mobile has at the site. It's a little bit harder when I'm trying to put out what other carriers' equipment are at a site. The antennas, those are easy. We can spot those. But equipment that's located inside a locked equipment cabinet or something that's located at ground level that's not properly labeled, that might be a little bit harder for a one carrier applicant to confirm what another carrier has at a site. But if it's limited to the current applicant's equipment at a site, I can absolutely do that. Regarding the radio frequency emissions reports, we do make sure we include the antennas for the other carriers in those as part of the cumulative emissions. So I can try to transcribe from those and give you the antennas for the other carriers. I just don't want to get as specific for every single piece of equipment for another carrier because we may miss something. We may confuse something as a Verizon piece of equipment that actually belongs to AT&T. It'd be great if everything was properly labeled up there, but sometimes when you get on site, certain things at ground level aren't properly labeled. So that would be my only hesitation with that one request. The other requests are fine. The structural analysis report that was done in August 28th, that should have been done so we can try to get that to the town. And regarding the performance bond, I do think a reasonable period of time has passed that we can get you a cost letter from an engineer that confirms what the cost would be to remove the equipment. We can get that to you guys.
I would also ask that if there's backup generation on the site, what the fuel is and the storage amounts on site, and also a review of the site security and, fencing, locks, things like that. I've been to a lot of the sites in town lately, and they run the gamut in terms of, access restrictions.
In terms of the summary of equipment for other carriers and the intent of the town code, it seems to me that the information that the planning board might want to consider would be the number of cabinets, the number of structures, not necessarily the detailed content.
Not the content,
of
right?
it.
Okay. Okay. That's not very easy, but it's quite easy to apply, to supply.
And
Yeah.
there's got to be some relation to the number of sticks or panels up on top and how many cabinets there are down in. They carry.
The town board should, or the planning board should be considering whether there has been adequate removal of old equipment, and the like. And it's a fair point about backup generation, whether there's, existing permanent facilities or connections for portable.
Right.
And I don't mind providing that information. My only hesitation before was not the equipment, but whether I signed it to a Verizon or AT&T, so we can get you that. And then my only request, just based on that last comment, is if another carrier, for instance, if an application for a T-Mobile special permit renewal, and you find out that there's an abandoned piece of AT&T equipment at a facility, I would just request that that being learned through a T-Mobile application, not hold up a T-Mobile application, since it's not T-Mobile's fault. That would be my only comment.
Okay.
So how do you address the decommissioning fund?
So each of those carriers has a special use permit on a renewal period. And I think it's appropriate, as long as that's the case, for the board to consider the sales of the equipment before them. And the rest of it is really to understand the context of the site.
And this will be for all special use renewals or
So each,
site plan adjustments or anything, anytime a cell application comes in front of us?
the discussion we're having here is specific to town code requirements for special use permit renewals, which are the 5-year. Yep.
Okay.
The planning board has reviewed, just like the prior application, modifications to the special use permit to account for changes in
Right.
equipment that's
And
part of the
at
approval.
times, those applicants are the individual carriers, not necessarily Crown Castle, who owns the tower itself, but not necessarily the equipment that the carriers are using, correct?
I think in all cases, they are by the carrier.
Well, except this particular application right now is Crown Castle is special permit for the tower. AT&T is the carrier at this tower. So it depends on when they were approved. Some of the approvals were from the Zoning Board of Appeals before this board had special use permit approval. And at sometimes they were giving specific special permits for the structure itself, even if they weren't a wireless carrier.
Right. Okay, I think I understand that.
Okay.
And with modifications, it's a lot easier because those have plans, and with the plans, it'll detail exactly the other character. With these renewals, we don't have plans, so.
Right. I got that.
Board feel comfortable waiving the site walk in the public hearing?
Hey,
Oh, I'm sorry.
One comment.
Yeah.
So Mr. Kenny and I, email exchange earlier, going back to the removal bonds, we just need to bring them up to date. So if that's a certificate, if that's a rider that it attached to, just something that's recently dated to show that it'll be in place for the remainder of this 5-year.
Absolutely. My expectation, though, is because of the time between 2019 and now, you're likely going to get a cost letter that probably increases the bond amount. It may not, but if you do, then we'll probably be getting you new bonds, and then everything goes that way.
That's fine. As long,
Yeah.
as long I spoke with Mr. Brony earlier. He just wants to confirm it needs to be within a certain period because we'll go into the next applications. They're a
Absolutely.
little bit more backdated. So we just want to make sure that
I got you.
bond still exists.
Absolutely. We can get you we confirm that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Make a motion that we waive the site walk?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion that we waive the public hearing?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And direct staff to prepare for chairman's signature a draft resolution with the conditions that was laid out by Steve and our town attorney. I think we need the bond, the new bond, straightened out the amount and the amount and whatever, right? Definitely.
Yeah, as Mr. Kenny said, if the
Right.
bond amount increases, they'll issue
Fine.
it. So that'll cover it. If it remains the same, they could just either a certificate,
Get an up.
rider, just
As long as it's spelled out.
than what it is.
Okay. Is there a second on that resolution? I mean, on that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. You're halfway home. T-Mobile Northeast LLC, application for a special use permit renewal for existing wireless telecommunication facility at 325 Route 100. That's in the Somers Town Center. Once again, the applicant is applying for a special use permit. And like I said, it's at 325 Route 100. And it's in the NS, which is the neighborhood shopping zoning district.
Good evening again. For the record, my name is David Kenny, attorney with Snyder Snyder. This application is very much like the application that for you for Crown Castle. It's just a renewal of the special permit. There's no changes being proposed to the facility. We're just looking to continue what's in existence.
Steve?
Our one different comment on this is just confirmation of the engineer performing the structural analysis, their certificate of authorization to do work in New York or that has this.
Board member comments?
And in this case, unlike the previous T-Mobile, Northeast LLC is the owner of the cell tower, not Crown Castle.
I have to double check for this one.
Mhm. Facility owner T-Mobile Northeast LLC.
Well, they definitely own the facility, their wireless facility. I believe, yes, this is the one that T-Mobile is the only one that's on this tower. So T-Mobile owns this tower.
Okay, thank you.
Once again, board, I make a motion that we waive the site walk.
Second.
All in favor?
All right,
Make another motion, we waive the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
all right.
And direct staff to prepare a draft resolution for chairman's signature with the clarifying of the engineering report.
Hang on.
Yes,
Same comment as item 5, updated bond date.
I'm sorry, thank you. An updated bond issue. Yep. Second,
I'll second that motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, you know, I never checked with you first. Are you a Giant fan? Because that depends on how quick I'm going to go through this.
Yeah,
I am a Giants fan.
and
Okay.
now you're a resident. Hold you.
There you go.
Yeah,
Lakeland School District. There you go.
You go.
yeah. You should suffer too then.
I do. I'm a Giants fan. We
That's
clear that up.
Right.
Me too, okay. T-Mobile Northeast LLC is an application for special use permit renewal for the existing wireless telecommunications facility at 80 Route 6, which is in the Somers Commons. And this applicant, once again, is for special use permit. The project, like I said, is on 80 Route 6, and it's in the CS, which is a community shopping zoning district.
And just for, again, for the record, my name is David Kenny, attorney with Snyder Snyder. And just for clarification, this is one where Crown Castle does own the tower. T-Mobile is a applicant on the tower, but also AT&T and Verizon are also co-located at this tower. This particular application is only for T-Mobile special permit. We're just looking to renew a T-Mobile special permit.
And that's for the equipment on the tower.
Correct.
Not the tower itself.
Correct. The equipment on the tower and the equipment at the
Now,
base of
now it's all Tetrising in my brain.
There you go.
Okay.
I think, I don't want to put words in Dave and Steve's mouths, but we're working towards getting this to be
Simple.
almost an administrative, or at least the zoning board, and
Yeah, this is one of the
this kind, I should
This
clarify,
issue where
not new.
an applicant comes in and they're just swapping out equipment. We're working on making that more of an administrative process where an applicant would just go to the building department. There would be oversight through engineering to review the radio frequency and the structural integrity of the tower and the equipment. But that's in process. That's, again, I think it's one of the, I think we recognize that with these types of applications, the technology has been around for a number of years now. And I think there's a comfort level with an applicant coming in and wanting to swap out equipment. And I don't think that it's necessary at this point for the planning board to continually to review these types of applications, particularly when we're reviewing them and we say we have no comments, we don't want to schedule a site walk, we don't need to have a public hearing. So it really points to a point where the town should think about making this an administrative effort. Yeah. So we're working on that. That's on the list.
We're in support of those efforts. We know a lot of communities in Westchester and the surrounding areas also choose to do that.
We support it too.
Yeah. Steve, you have any comments on this one?
Our comments on this application are the same as the last, to provide the summary statement of users in a way that's more accessible to the board, certificate of authorization for the structural engineer, and an update on the abandonment bond.
And bond rate.
To either renew as council suggested, or to update if additional costs are needed.
Make a motion. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Is there any board comments or questions?
Well, I'm
Yeah.
wondering if we're going to turn it into that kind of a routine process, would it be a good idea to mandate certain visual inspection periods? You know, whether it's at every renewal that there has to be a visual going along with the structural, and also that, I don't think whenever anybody's installing new equipment, it's not a heavy lift to put a Verizon sticker on the front of a cabinet or a AT&T sticker on the front of a cabinet, just for purposes of being able to identify whose equipment is in what cabinet on the property. I would think if you're going to produce a punch list that to be reviewed upon renewal for applications, that stuff like that would be probably in our best interest.
Yeah.
To be clear, though, what I heard earlier was that it was modification applications where I'm swapping out antennas that would be an administrative review. I believe these special permit renewals would still come to this board because this board still has to approve the renewed special permit.
Yeah.
So you would still get to review as part of the last three applications we've just had.
Yep.
That would still come to this board.
But even so, I think, a punch list like that and a little bit more control over the site itself in terms of whose cabinets are whose.
Just one comment. There's already a mandatory on the 1st of February, every odd year, that the applicant or the owner is supposed to deliver a visual inspection certificate to the building department. So a lot of that stuff's already incorporated into the present provision for the special exception use permits, either renewals or the initial application.
And just to clarify your point earlier about the stickers on the cabinets, they're supposed to be there. So they are absolutely, most often you can see like a fading sticker or a sticker that's scraped off. It's sometimes in the course of, operations, weather, all of that.
I was at 3 different sites on Tuesday morning,
Yeah.
and I can tell you there weren't stickers on any of the cabinets that I saw.
Let me know the sites.
Other than the ones that had shelters, the shelters were usually clearly marked because I think they were very much concerned that someone would, tear the
Use
door
their
down if
shelter.
they tear the door down if they didn't have
Yeah.
know who to call to get access. So I'm good.
Okay. Make a motion that we waive the sidewalk for this application.
Second.
All in favor?
I
I also make a motion that we waive the public hearing for this application.
Second.
All in favor?
I
And once again, prepare staff prepare a draft resolution with those true provisions in it, for chairman's signature. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you. Good evening.
Welcome to the town.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
And last on our agenda is a referral by the Somers Town Board for the intent to be lead agency of our zoning text amendment regarding our solar energy legislation. Just going to let Dave present this to the board.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So by way of background, the town currently does not have any provisions for regulating kind of solar arrays. This is the kind of the type 3 configurations. There is currently a process for by the building department to review and approve the tier 1, which are the smaller arrays that go on, let's say, the roof of a residential home. But this ordinance, the language here would allow for the larger type 3. It would allow for the type 1, the tier 1, which would be permitted through just a building permit. They have to apply to the building department to get a building permit. The tier 3 is the larger solar arrays. The proposal here is that those types of facilities would be permitted after an applicant, and there's specific criteria for locating. One is that the property has to be in the R120 zoning district, and two, that the property has to be associated with a school or Institute of Higher Learning. And the part of the genesis of this is that the upper, I think it was the Putnam Westchester BOCES, has a facility. Part of it is in Yorktown and part of it's in the town of Somers. The portion that's in the town of Somers, they're proposing to install a tier 3 solar energy system. And that's the kind of the ground mounted panels. Because this is a school, I think the town, through their discussions with BOCES, recognizes that there's a benefit to the BOCES and to schools, the education systems, that benefits the residents of the town of Somers, but also for BOCES, the other residents that BOCES serves. So that's why they're specifically limiting it to these particular criteria. And in addition, the land area associated with the proposed solar array is limited to no more than 12 acres. So it limits the overall size of the proposed solar array. So procedurally, an applicant would come before, once the legislation's in place, an applicant would come before the town board and ask to have their portion of their school property designated with an overlay zone that lands on the specific criteria, the specific area. So that's a discretionary action by the town board. If the town board so chooses and applies the overlay zone, then the applicant would come before your board for a special permit and a site plan review. And that there's specific criteria in here for the solar energy systems. That includes, all the utility lines need to be underground. Vehicular paths need to be provided to allow for emergency access. There's requirements for signage, glare, lighting, tree cutting, and decommissioning. So there are specific regulations and requirements and standards for these types of facilities. And just very quickly, the legislation was based on the New York State Model Ordinance, along with a few tweaks based on what other surrounding communities have adopted as part of their solar energy programs. And the sites are limited to the Westchester Putnam BOCES site, the Primrose School, Somers Senior High School, JFK, and Lincoln Hall. So those are the properties that this could be applied to, and that's limited to just those properties. In addition, the town board was very clear in the direction that they asked this office to prepare, that battery energy storage systems, the BESS systems, are not permitted as part of these types of applications. So even though a solar energy system may be proposed, the battery energy storage system, which sometimes is included as part of these facilities, is not permitted as part of this proposed legislation. So right now, all the town board is looking for is they've circulated a notice of intent to act as lead agency under the State Environmental Quality Review Act. That notice was circulated to a number of different interested and involved agencies. Your board is one of them. So I think that you're not going to object to the town board acting as lead agency. That's what they're looking for their meeting tomorrow night. If you choose to move in that direction, then I will draft a memo on your behalf and provide that to the town board for their consideration. And then if you have any questions tonight about the proposed legislation, you can certainly raise those issues. We can provide those to the town board. The town board, if once they declare themselves lead agency, it's most likely that tomorrow night they will schedule a public hearing for their October meeting. So you still have time as a board and individually, if you want to raise any additional questions that could be forwarded to the town board for their consideration with respect to this application.
I just had one question. I like the permit time frame. It's section I under tier 3 time frame and abandonment. I like that there's a clock ticking for an application.
Yes.
Right? We don't have endless renewals. But under the point 2, upon cessation of electricity generation of a solar energy system on a continuous basis for 12 months, the town may notify and instruct the property owner and operator of solar energy system to implement the decommissioning plan. How do we become on notice that it has not been operational for 12 months? I'm not an electrician.
I'm shocked.
Oh,
Oh, you saw me last night.
yeah,
Yes.
Sorry,
It's late.
couldn't help it. Yeah.
shocked.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
I don't know, Mike.
How would the town know it's not operating?
One is observations if they stop maintaining it, because it's a solar array, the panels are on an angle. So if vegetation starts to grow to the point where it starts to block the sun, you may notice that they're no longer preventing that. So that's an indicator that they may not be. And the cellular tower special exception use permit have a similar that the town can notify that they believe it's been abandoned, and recall the applicant in upon 10 days notice to establish that it's not abandoned. I don't recall exactly if that's how this is structured, but that may be a workaround.
Are we-
Because presumably there's a window of time, so I could make an observation, but the cessation of activity may have happened before I made the observation. So we could be 8 months into it then, or I'm just
Could be.
not sure how you establish.
Are we requiring a removal bond the way that we do the cell towers?
I believe so.
Yes, I believe that's in here as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Steve, this is just for the text amendment. This isn't for an application from a
No,
party
no.
specifically for the BOCES property, right?
I'm sorry, say it again.
This is just for the text amendment for the zoning.
Right.
This is not for an applicant from that wants to put it on the.
No, this is not, this is generated on behalf of the town, not on behalf of any particular applicant.
Okay.
It does recognize that BOCES would like to have this type of facility on their property. And so the town is trying to be cooperative and allow for these types of facilities in very limited instances, particularly where there's some benefit to the overall community. And if BOCES is saving money, then conceivably they're saving money on behalf of their constituents, which are,
But it would be a private firm that would do the investment in the construction.
yes,
It's not a public
N-
building.
no.
Fine.
no, these are typically private investments on behalf of BOCES, but there's a relationship there. Yes.
I have a engineering question. Sorry. So if they're unable or unable to, incapable and unable to store the energy, would that mean that they would be either only using it for the facility itself, the school, i.e., or would they be generating and dropping some of that back on the grid?
Yeah, these are typically grid connected solar at this scale. I think this, and so it is not necessarily exclusive to the school itself. It's typically just a grid connection, a separate grid connection from the school's offtake from the grid, typically.
Okay. And then, so really it would be the applicant who would generally benefit from the energy production, right? Like, in other words, there are community aggregation solar systems that pop around the county and the state.
Yeah.
This would not fall under that, correct? This would solely be for the proprietary use of the higher learning institution that builds it.
I'll let you correct me if I'm incorrect here, but the benefit that the property owner, in this case, these eligible properties would be receiving would be the income stream for the use of their property for renewable energy generation.
Okay. It's reasonable.
But there would also be a tie-in so that some of the energy generated would also be used by BOCES itself because it's right there. And they're also doing a number of other improvements to help lower energy use, new lighting.
So they're going to become more efficient, basically.
Correct. Yes,
Energy
exactly.
consumer, and
Yes.
they'll have self-production of solar energy as well.
Right.
To help assist with that.
Yes. And if there's anything left over that
Goes
goes,
back in the grid.
and that, right.
I got you. And that they'll receive revenue for from assumably if it goes over their consumption
Correct.
bill. Okay. That which is similar to how residential solar systems.
Right.
Okay.
Benefit to solar.
So in this particular case, BOCES serves not only Somers, but it serves a number of other residents. But the extent that BOCES can help reduce its costs through this type of system, it reduces the cost to those constituents in the town of Somers who rely on or use the BOCES system. And the same would apply if the town of Somers School District, let's say at the high school, wanted to do the same thing. Then again, there's probably more direct benefits to the town of Somers and its residents because the cost for operation for the school district conceivably go down because now they've got this energy supply that they would apply
But I think,
facilities.
I mean, all of these institutions would receive some sort of state funding, assumably, right?
Presumably, yes.
Right? They're higher, the educational facilities, the BOCES, I believe, does get state aid.
Yeah.
So in essence, we are helping the burden of the taxpayer because now their energy bills would be lowered.
Right.
And the monies that they may use for that it would offset that by self-generation. So I could see where it's an indirect benefit, I would say, as opposed to a direct one. But yes.
So there's also a section of the energy law in New York State that's called an energy performance contract, where the Department of Education can enter into an agreement with a private individual in which that company will pay for improvements to school district property, which Dave went into earlier with the lighting improvements. There's also things like windows. They'll come in and they'll make improvements to the facility in exchange for receiving the lease to utilize the property. I've read it before. I can't tell you the ins and outs of it. It's a very long and comprehensive section, but it is granted by the state, and it's endorsed by the state. And it kind of goes in line too, where there's New York State has this 2030 program where they want to have a very, very high goals for solar energy production. I can't remember exactly what it is, if it's 30 gigawatts or 100 gigawatts of solar energy production by 2030. So there's a lot of state programs that are served by this. In addition to that, there are benefits directly to school. It doesn't need to be BOCES. It could be any school. It could be the high school. It could be Kennedy Catholic. I'm actually not sure if it applies to Kennedy Catholic. It might be restricted to public schools. Which though too, those improvements reduce the necessity of the school district as a taxing entity to tax the residents to pay for those improvements.
And or it's, you would be in charge of kind of making sure that like I'm trying to visualize this one in particular. As you're going down Pinesbridge Road, you got BOCES on your right, and then you have like this kind of it's not really a field, but it's a wooded area.
Big giant open.
Right? It's a big, right back, a lot of deer. And as you're driving through there, like there would just be these, solar panels, 12 acres of solar panels. Are they required to put any kind of like trees up or anything like that? Or is it just like you're now driving down the street, which seems wooded, and now you're going to be driving down like just solar panel field?
Yeah, that's a very good question. In the special use permit standards, there are setback requirements for the tier 3. There are height requirements or limitations. There's screening, visibility, and habitat requirements. So you need to conduct a visual impact assessment. You need to submit screening and landscaping plan. So all of that is included as part of the special permit criteria that you would be reviewing as part of this.
It's still,
this is-
would still come in front of our board.
Yes,
This is just laying the groundwork for these projects
Right.
to happen
yes.
and happen in a limited capacity. The limitations being who's this applies to, this OS zone that you're talking, this overlay zone, right? Which
Right.
is the 5 higher learning institutions.
Right.
Within the town. of Somers.
Got it.
Could this cover solar carport covers? Where I've seen some municipal buildings are using now.
Yeah,
Train, one of the
Yeah.
down county
the
town halls.
the town of Mount Pleasant
Now,
has
that's it. I
is
couldn't.
one of those as well. I'd have to check to see if those types of facilities fall under a tier 3 classification or whether they're closer to a tier 2 classification.
It would depend on the acreage. The acreage, the construction, the Montrose VA also has it, where all their parking lots now have solar overhangs for people to park under.
I wouldn't want to necessarily create a loophole for the schools now to say, oh, great, we can build one in a field and we can put one over our parking area.
That's a good point.
You know, I mean, while I'm personally pro solar, I do think it needs to,
Mhm.
be outlined in a
Yeah.
proper way. And if I don't want there to be a misinterpretation of the legislation that says, oh, well, we are a school and we're going to put a, 6,000 square foot solar panel array over our parking lot. Now, while granted, that would still come in front of us for a site plan, I think we should just be clear that it either can or can't. I'm personally care, but as long as it's clear in there, and if the town board recognizes that could happen and become a solar array over parking, that would be the first in the town, and that may
Mhm.
generate some. So there is one
City.
issue with public schools in which certain improvements or construction on to public schools are approved by the Department of Education and the building permits issued by the Commissioner of Education.
So even for a parking.
Other things,
Okay.
and then you get into the minutiae here.
Yeah, exactly.
And I had to get well versed on this over the last year. Other things, portions of school district property, to include BOCES or a public high school, are subject to local zoning. So when you get the facts before you is how you determine whether or not the school can apply to the Commissioner of Education for the building permits and bypass local zoning, or it must abide by local zoning and apply to the town for the permits. So what the parking lot, it's an open question.
Right.
Whether or not that falls as part of the structure and facilities itself and is quote unquote a school use. If it is, they would go to the Commissioner of Education. If it is not a school use or does not strictly apply to the school facilities themselves, then it will come to the town.
Okay.
So just recognizing that BOCES application is not before us, it's a theoretical question. I think if I didn't mishear you, I think you said initially that the property is partially in Yorktown, partially in Somers. And so I think for me, the greater question is how administratively does approval take place when there are 2 municipalities? And is this proposed code the same as the code that exists in Yorktown? I don't think you should drive the code necessarily we have for everything.
No.
And how does that get worked? Does general municipal law, Gen M tell us how we manage this? I don't,
This site is wholly located in Somers.
it's wholly,
The campus,
okay.
main campus on Pine Bridge Road is split between the two municipalities.
Okay, but the site we're talking about now is just,
Site-
okay,
Strictly.
thank you. Because I was just trying to
Right.
just figure out in my head how we're going to manage that.
Line run right down the middle.
Thank you.
You would actually have to go over there and run the planning board meetings.
If I may have job opportunity.
Oh,
So
Oh.
this is the property that's closer to the intersection of Mosman and Pine
At the
Ridge.
intersection.
Yes.
of those-
Yeah.
Yes.
There used to be a huge estate in there.
Did there really?
That's
We used to
that's
drive
all
when I
that
was a
property,
kid.
all
When I
the
went to
property.
BOCES.
Yeah.
My Geo Metro saw that many times.
Doing donuts.
Everything we could in the 3-cylinder Geo Metro.
A tiny little car.
So I think we're all in agreement to have Dave prepare a letter to the town board that we don't have a problem with
No.
with them being the lead agency on this project, on this zoning text amendment.
Make that.
No.
Yeah,
did you
is that a
make
that's a motion, yeah?
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Aye. All right.
Mr. Chairman, so what I would suggest is that I'll work with Nikki and we'll take the minutes from this discussion and we'll provide that as an
Okay.
overview to the town board so that they understand the discussion that you've had here.
There's some other very valuable points that were made tonight too.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Before I make a motion to adjourn, I'd just like to personally thank all my fellow board members. It's been a pleasure working with you. You sure made my life very easy, and staff, it goes without saying. Thank you for putting up with my many shortcomings. You make me look good, which I know is a full-time job. Thank you again. I appreciate working with all of you. Vicky, you and I go back many years. I'm gonna miss you all. It's been a great run. Make a motion. Our next meeting is October 8th, 2025, and I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
We don't
Thank
have
you.
We don't have a gavel to pass or anything?
No.